far I'm into just about 2 tanks of fuel. I didn't expect to already run through a tank. Welcome everyone to the Okie Woodsman channel. My name is Joe. Today's video is pretty fun, really. If you haven't watched me struggle with trying to split this Sycamore, I suggest you do so because basically I worked way too hard trying to split this stuff with a maul. Here I am again in that predicament. It's no good. There we go. So through that process I found that, well, I guess I'm just gonna have to cut it up with a chainsaw. Now to some people that might sound foolish. This is a complete experiment. I have never cut my firewood up so much with a saw. Normally I do split it, but with this wood being so difficult and with a hydraulic splitter not being an option at this point in time, I figured I would go ahead and do this. I also at the end decided that I would try to figure out about how much waste there was mathematically. So if you stick around, I'll tell you how much fuel I used. I'll show you the stack of wood I have. I will show you the amount of noodles there is on the ground. And now also please understand this wood is not going to go to waste. All the noodles are not going to just be wasted. I'm not just going to burn them up on the ground outside to get rid of them. I might burn them up in the form of fire starter for my wood stove, but another subscriber actually just told me of something super cool. They told me that you can spread out the noodles on a slick surface like a deck or stairs to help have traction with ice and snow. Well, my entryway to my home is on metal stairs and a deck. I am definitely going to try putting some wood chips down to see if that will help our traction. I don't want to put salt down on wood, and I haven't been able to figure out a better way. I didn't expect to already run through a tank. This is that cheap stuff I got from Atwoods. I think I got it for around 10 bucks. I like it so far. Have you ever not put your cap on and then dump the oil all over your leg? I sure have. If you've never cut wood up like this and you enjoy running a saw, I suggest you try it. It is a lot of fun. All it takes is a sharp chain. Now keep in mind, if you don't run a sharp chain on a saw, it is absolute misery. I think many people view chainsaw work as terrible because, you know, I think everyone thinks it's good until they hit something and then they wonder what's wrong, you know, with their saw because it wasn't as good as it once was. So definitely check out my chainsaw sharpening videos. I've got a few. This wood coming up definitely deserves what it's going to get. Look at that nastiness. I even went for the smaller pieces of wood as well. May as well. Also, I took the time to go ahead and make this wood something that's easier to stack by trimming off some of the nubs. That one right there, I didn't because I thought it would be cool shot splitting that little Y in half. I was thinking about a short video at the time. We'll see if that makes it. So I've already gone through the stack pretty good. Keep in mind, I am now in my second tank of fuel. I started full and filled up once. And I was thinking that I would finish this up with 3 tanks of fuel. At the end, there will be some very interesting totals. Believe it or not, I actually went through and watched my footage and counted out how many cuts I did to noodle up this wood. So I'll go ahead and explain that in a little bit, but I'll give you a fuel total and an approximation of how much I believe is on the ground in noodles. You might wonder why I bored in and upcutted so many times. The honest truth is because it's just flat out fun. And also, keep in mind I'm also trying to make videos. People like seeing saw chips spit out the front side. I know I do. I haven't stacked this wood yet, so at the end I give an opportunity for everyone to kind of weigh in on how much wood there is there. But I would say about 2 hours of chainsaw time into this. That doesn't count me putting a quick grind on the chain or anything like that. So far I'm into just about 2 tanks of fuel. I don't think I've hit anything, but with 2 tanks of fuel, I'm gonna give my teeth a quick sharpen. There's no reason not to. Even a file would be really quick and easy, but I'm gonna go ahead and just hit them up again real quick with a grinder and just touch them up, and then we're gonna get on back to it. But there's a couple little corners knocked off here, so I'm gonna go ahead and just lightly touch them up real quick. Be super fast, super easy. No reason not to sharpen when it's this easy. I was almost gonna just keep running it. This is cutting pretty well, but may as well just touch it up. I'm not gonna touch up my rakers because I took this down to the softwood setting, and it was, it was good. I gotta say, I'm pretty happy with the amount of wood I have there. And this stuff is gonna stack super nice when it comes time to put it in that wood shed. So far we are 2 tanks in. This has been sitting for a little bit here. I'll choke it. Once you get all those noodles on the ground, all of a sudden it's a lot easier to get down on your knees, because underneath all my leaves is all just solid rocks. Just rocks, sharp rocks. So that's pretty cool. I've also heard some people mention that sycamore causes them to break out and to sneeze and all sorts of trouble. Do you have that sort of trouble if you have any experience with it? If you're new to the channel, this saw was ported by Super Dave Outdoors. He is on YouTube. I'll go ahead and tag him in my description there. Doesn't that Echo 620 run good? It's so nice. It doesn't run like a stock one at all. Has more RPM. Also, he did remove the fuel limited carburetor. These high jets have a hole in them that dump fuel and keep them rich. So far, that's 3 tanks, 3 full tanks. Have a few more to noodle up. Look at that stack. Wow, well, that was quite a, what's that called? I don't know, that was a long stretch. Some of your more experienced eyes, maybe you can tell me approximately what you thought that was in terms of face chords. Right there. Now, another question I have is, all these noodles, I wonder what percentage loss I have while doing that to that Sycamore. Now, I'm going to consider that not much of a loss because I can utilize this. I'll use it for something. But if this were split with a splitter, I wonder how many pieces that would equate to. That's pretty fluffy. That's pretty fluffy there. You know, we got a pretty wide kerf on a chainsaw. I bet you there's a way to estimate that. Be kind of curious to see how many cubic feet of wood that is on the ground splayed out, right? I wonder if it's more than you'd assume or less than you'd assume. Time for an explanation on how I got to these numbers. So when I watched the film, I saw approximately 117 cuts. The wood was generally cut about 16 inches in length. I searched online for 3/8 chain. The kerf is approximately 0.337 of an inch. So the math works out for volume of 0.337 times 16 inches by 10 inches. How I came up with 10 inches is I figured that was a good average cut, right? An average diameter or the amount of cut. Some of them were 14 inches, some of them were 8 inches, and so forth. And if you see any problems with this math, feel free to let me know in the comments. But I came up with 53.92 cubic inches or 0.0312 cubic feet per cut. I then multiplied that by my 117 total cuts, which comes out to approximately 3.65 cubic feet of loss. So my estimation is that's actually less than 4 bags of bagged firewood. I don't think that's too bad. So in a rick or a face cord, I believe there's 42.667 cubic feet. So, you know, you're talking about less than 10% of a rick loss. Now, I don't know how much I have there in wood. If I have more than a face cord, then that's great. If I'm less than a face cord, then I would be higher than that 8%. Tell me, do you think that is greater than you thought or less? A lot of people did participate in that last video. I had various guesses. Some came pretty darn close. Pretty impressive, really. I mean, that fluff lands on the ground and it takes up a lot of area. So we're really not putting out that much wood on the ground, in my opinion. I don't think that that's too much waste. Now, as far as fuel usage, according to the specs online, the Echo CS-620PW holds 21.8 ounces. I estimate that I used 3.75 tanks of fuel through the Echo. That times 21.8 is 81.75 ounces. That is that's 63.86% of 1 gallon. So close to 2/3 of a gallon, and I am using premium fuel, non-ethanol, with 40-to-1 Echo Red Armor. Do you think that sounds reasonable? Right now in my area, we're about $2.80 a gallon, under 3 for that type of fuel. Plus you have to factor in your 2-stroke mix and so forth. But really, I mean, I sell bags of campfire wood for $5 a piece. So let's just say that's 4 bags of wood, so that's $20, and then let's just say about $3 in fuel. So under $25 in 2 hours to split up that rick using a chainsaw. Of course, that doesn't factor in wear and tear on a saw or anything like that. Let me know what you think about this. I thought this was pretty interesting. I was kind of astonished. I kind of thought there would be way more loss, to be honest with you. Ported 620 Super Dave. It did great. Sir Dave, this is, I did give it a little bit more fuel after a little bit, after it warmed up a bit. Everybody, I did not tighten that chain at all. That's pretty impressive for a Holzforma chain. Getting good oil out of the oiler. Dave did replace the oiler for me on this saw. I felt like the oiling was never super stellar, and I wonder if there was actually an issue from the factory, actually. There's a possibility. I don't know. But we've got a good running saw. That is almost 4 full tanks of fuel. You can see I've got probably half to a third left on that. Half to a third or so. 20-inch bar was king on there. I loved it. I actually really enjoyed running that 20-inch bar. Getting good noodles. That was quite a job, noodling all that up in one run. That was the most noodling I have ever done straight. You know, I took a break just to grind the chain briefly midway through. Didn't touch the rakers, just simply touched it up on the grinder. And that was 2 tanks in. So now I'm in another almost 2 tanks. And it did great. The saw was running great. It always ran well. Dave, like I was saying, I did go ahead and give it a little bit more fuel. It's a little cooler outside once it warmed up. It was on the leaner side, and I liked it. I didn't ever hear a 4-stroke when with how it was originally tuned, and I don't like that. I like to hear a little bit when I remove the cutters from the wood. Definitely glad the Sycamore is done. Definitely I'm not going to hand split that stuff. Now, like I said, Bluegrass, I believe it's Bluegrass Outdoors, he did state, he has showed, actually proved in a video, that once it has been sitting for some time, it will split by hand, and it will split fairly well. I appreciate you being here. I just thank you. That's all I can say, is thank you to all of you. Okie Woodsman here. Enjoy your family, help your neighbors out. See you on the next one.